as well. Be with you for about, about 30 minutes or so. We're going to talk some basketball, transfer portal stuff. And if any football topics come up in the thread, we'll address those as well. But kind of a basketball-centric show here today is my anticipation, because that's sort of where the news is right now. But before we do that, I want to tell you that we're brought to you by the College Corner. It's your one-stop Rebel Shop, 2 locations in the Jackson area. In Ridgeland, the College Corner is next to Fleet Feet. In Flowood, it's next to Half Shell. If you don't live in Jackson, it's not a problem. You can visit the College Corner at collegecornerstore.com. Plus, you can find them on Facebook and Instagram. Whether you're tailgating in Oxford or home gating with friends and family, the College Corner has you covered for game day, the largest selection of Rebel gear in central Mississippi. I'm coming to you from the Clark Ford Studios. Clark Ford's in Amory, Mississippi, 662-257-1900. Call that number. Ask for Corey Clark. Tell Corey what Ford product you're looking for. He'll send you a quote within 15 minutes in business hours, right to the bottom line. No hassle, no haggle. You get your quote, and the rest is totally up to you. You can shop that quote around. You can do what I've done, what I recommend that you do, and that's hop into a Clark Ford today. Zach Berry with us on the Rafters Music and Food Hotline. Zach, how are you?
Neal, it's I'd say it's a glorious day anyway, but weather's been a little touch and go, a lot of rain. As we've talked about on this show before, we're getting back into the swing of things with yard work season.
Mm-hmm.
And I was planning on getting out and maybe throwing the mower on the grass, but probably gonna have to wait a couple days because it dumped on us earlier.
Yeah, it's gonna be a minute before you can mow. I've got a couple of things I've got to get fixed. I found a place. I'm going to have to drive to Tupelo to take it there, but get a couple of things kind of fixed up and ready to roll. I got my second vaccine yesterday.
Oh, nice.
I got that done, and within an hour I was on the treadmill, did my 5-mile run that my running program called for, did some weights, came back here, did a podcast, did work, and I thought as the day went on, I'm like, you know what? I'm good, no problem. I got in the bed last night, and I got the shakes. I was told, they warned me that with the Pfizer vaccine, the second vaccine, if you've had COVID, you can have a little reaction to the shot. So I did. So
okay.
I'm a little loopy today for whatever reason. The day with the second vaccine was actually worse than any of the days with COVID.
Well, I was going to say, last weekend, got my first dose. Got the Moderna. It was crazy. So in Nashville, they actually doubled the dosage on accident.
Yeah.
At Nissan, and for the Johnson & Johnson, so the one and done. And we got the word of it from our neighbor, who was like, hey, they got plenty. Just you go up there and get in line. Boom, you're done. So it was right before basketball starting on Saturday, was about to turn into the Nissan Stadium parking lot, and it was packed. And right before I got in there and got stuck, the other wait list I was on called and said, hey, come on, we got you. So went out that night. We actually went out, and the little man was at the in-laws, so we kind of had a parents' night out and went and watched basketball and enjoyed a nice evening out with some normalcy. And then we made our last stop, went to get a cocktail, and I was feeling fine. Got up, went to the restroom, was washing my hands, and then it just like washed over me, where I just felt just like drained.
Yeah.
Just really tired, and it was a weird feeling. So I went back and sat down, and I was like, we need to go. But that was it. And the next morning I got up and went and played 18 holes and was totally fine. So if anybody's trying to tell you horror stories, I can't attest for other people, but for me it was fine.
Oh yeah, it's not a big deal at all. I just didn't get to sleep because I couldn't get warm, and so I finally just got up and but I was trying to be quiet, like I started to fix some hot tea or something, but I didn't want to wake anybody up, and so I was being super quiet, and then your feet get cold, and so now you're up moving around, but you're cold. I just couldn't get warm. And so by the time I got warm, it was like 2-something in the morning, and then the storm rolled through at 4:30. I mean, it was a loud storm, and so no one will have to talk me into the bed tonight. Let's put it that way. I anticipate crashing. All right, let's talk some hoops. I guess since the last time we convened, Ole Miss has been eliminated. They lost to Louisiana Tech in the first round of the NIT in Frisco, Texas. So the season ends, and the recruiting season has definitely picked up. Ole Miss added a commitment, a signing, I guess, commitment signing. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. In the high school ranks earlier in the week, what can you tell us about him?
Yeah, so I actually hope to speak with Eric.
He
later this
messaged
evening.
me yesterday and gave me a number. So are you talking to him?
Yeah, he probably sent you the same thing he sent me, where he was like, "Hey, sorry, like I was getting blown up."
Yeah.
So I was like, "Yeah, all good. We can talk." But either one of us, or one of us will talk with him. But
Yeah.
I think he's a quality pickup. Very respected in North Carolina in the prep ranks. Played for a really good high school basketball program at Millbrook. This isn't a 5 or 4-star guy that's an immediate, starter. And this isn't me saying that he's going to contribute immediately, but I think they are going to ask him to play some kind of role next year because he can shoot it very well from the outside.
Yeah, I think I can address this. I talked to some basketball people a lot over the last couple of days. You're right. Long term, they view him as a potential stretch four who can be a scorer in Kermit Davis's offense. Short term, and we'll get to this in a minute, I think they view him as an 8 to 10 minute guy who can shoot the three some. This team had a problem from day one, minute one, and you saw it early. They couldn't shoot. They can't knock perimeter shots down consistently enough. They couldn't stretch the floor. The paint got congested. It prevented Romello White from being able to operate freely the way that he would like to. I think it stopped Devontae Shuler from being able to do some of the dribble drive stuff that he likes to do. I just thought it limited this team. They just did not have consistent wings who could knock the three down. The NCAA tournament's down to the Sweet 16, and if you watch it, and if you're a basketball fan, frankly, you should. You should watch some of this, not because the basketball's great or whatever, but you need to watch the teams that are left in it with an objective eye, and if you'll do it, you'll notice that just about every one of these teams have the ability to penetrate, kick, knock down threes, which forces teams to defend the perimeter, which opens the paint. It opens the paints for guards who can get to the basket. It opens it opens the paint for bigs to clean up at the basket. When a big has to come over and help a guard on a guard, opens up, he puts a layup up on the glass, and even though it doesn't go in, there's a big there to clean it up uncontested or to get fouled. If you watch that, there's a continuity, there's a consistency. If you watch Alabama play, for example, if you watch Arkansas play, for example, they've got multiple guys, and I name them because they're SEC West teams that are in the Sweet 16. They have multiple guys who can put the ball on the floor and get to the basket, and they have multiple guys who can set up on the wings and make you pay for helping too much on a penetrator. Ole Miss didn't have that, and so everything that I just described wasn't in their arsenal, and it made their margin of error so small, Zach, that in the end, it was too much to overcome. We talk about this all the time, and it applies in every sport. Ultimately, for a team that's a bubble type of team, and Ole Miss was the epitome of a bubble team. For a bubble type of team, at some point, you're going to have to overcome your Achilles heel, or it's going to bring you down. And, everybody talks about the LSU.
It's your Achilles heel for a reason.
Everybody talks about the LSU game. But what killed Ole Miss was the Vanderbilt game in Nashville. That's what killed Ole Miss.
Oh, yeah.
It was devastating. And so, and you go back and look at that game, they just couldn't score. They couldn't make shots. That offense transitioned to defense, and suddenly they weren't making plays on the defensive side. They had too many guys, KJ Buffin and guys like that, who took their offense with them to the defensive side. So they've got to address that, and I think this freshman's one that is one of a handful of guys that they're looking at who can help a little bit. But I'm told his role for a first year is probably 8 minutes, just stand out there, be able to make some shots. Got to get stronger, got to be able to do some different things, but that's what you expect. But long term, you're right. They view him as a stretch four.
Yeah, they need a knockdown shooter, and that's what you need. You see, that's what all the Sweet 16 teams have. I mean, you saw it last weekend. Kansas could not buy a bucket, and they lost by 34 because Southern Cal was efficient. But Ole Miss, the way they want to play, the way Kermit Davis played this season with their pace and their possessions being in the 300s or whatever it was, you got to be efficient. You got to make shots. And Ole Miss lasted as long as they did, being on the bubble because Romello White was so good. As a team, they rebounded well and got second and third chance opportunities. But instead of trading those rebounds for twos and threes, they were just getting to the free throw line and making one of two and then sometimes two. And that's just not going to cut it. You gotta have scores, and I think you can see that in this class. They went and got 4 guys that can really score it. Now they got to figure out what they're going to do with them. And outside of that, and we're going to get to it here in a minute, got to hit the transfer portal, and you've got to find some experienced guys who can immediately come in. This isn't some, all right, well, we're going to hit the transfer portal. We're gonna get this project guy, and we'll figure it out in 2 years. No, you got to win next year because. And this is just me talking here. This isn't Neal. This isn't the consensus from the staff at Rebel Grove. This is my opinion. I think that his feet are very, very close to the fire in 2021-22.
Yeah, I don't know that I agree with that, but I could be wrong. I haven't. To be honest with you, I haven't gone down that road too much because. To do that, you've got to dig into money, and you've got to see. There's so many unknowns as to.
Mm-hmm.
Look, can they afford to be a really bad basketball team next year? No, they can't.
Yeah.
Would another bubbly type year get him another year? I think so, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, and that's not me saying that he's done. It's just I think people are going to start to get impatient because. You got to where this program got to where it was from Andy Kennedy. You got the pavilion because of Andy Kennedy. You got to this certain point. You hire Kermit Davis. Hey, we need you to take us to that next level. We need to keep going. And you haven't done that yet.
All right, let's talk about some names that are out there. The big name that's out there. It feels like we talk about this multiple years every year. But this is the key moment here. All jokes aside, Jamin Brakefield, in the transfer portal, leaving Duke. Didn't play a whole lot at Duke. When he did play, he was effective, but he didn't play much. And unlike the other people who dismiss that and go, "Oh well, so what?" I mean, I think it's worth noting that he didn't get on the floor much for Duke, but he's in the portal. I know there is this widespread belief that his transfer to Ole Miss is a done deal, that it's going to happen, and I've talked to sources who swear it is a done deal. I guess I'm being cynical here just a little bit, maybe skeptical just a little bit, or maybe just being guarded is probably the better term. I hear enough about Michigan, and I see enough question marks that make me go, I'm not ready to go there yet. If you made me predict the place, I'd predict Ole Miss, but I'm not ready to do the whole done deal thing just yet, though I do believe Brakefield enters the portal knowing generally what his plans are.
Yeah. It's a mix. It's just strange he didn't play a ton. He also was on a team that was loaded with some really talented guys that were in front of him. Kind of a weird year for him. I mean, he went a stretch in December and January where he was playing 18 minutes or more, 17 minutes or more. I mean, he played 24 against Notre Dame, 27 against Virginia Tech. And then it just kind of fell off. And then played 29 minutes against Virginia. Probably his best game of the year, had 11 points, 5 rebounds, 4 blocks in that win against Virginia. But, yeah, hardly played in the ACC tournament.
3 minutes.
Yeah, barely. One thing, if you're looking at, what he would bring to Ole Miss, shot 41% from the field. I mean, he didn't play a ton. I mean, he averaged,
He averaged 12 and a half
minutes a game.
12 and a half minutes a game.
Okay.
He shot almost 41% from the floor, shot 31.5 from three, only shot 41 from the free throw line, but we're not talking about many shots.
Mm-hmm.
Got 2.5 rebounds a game, half an assist, 4/10 of a block, 4/10 of a steal. I mean, we're again, he didn't play much, 3.5 points a game. He only played in 9 games. So, I mean, there's a lot there, and you could. It just depends on. It may depend on your outlook. Look, here's the positive outlook: is that Duke recruited above him. They were going to play the higher ranked kids, and he got frustrated, and things went south. And then on the other hand, and this has to be pointed out, this was a bad Duke team, but Mike Krzyzewski's won a lot there. I'm not crazy about the guy. I think he's kind of an ass, if I'm honest, but they've won a lot. A whole lot. And they've won by him playing the best players. And Brakefield didn't play much. Now, look, I said this at the time a year ago, and there's some other people that have told me I was right. I thought Jamin made a mistake going to Duke. Whether it was Ole Miss or another program like Ole Miss, I thought he needed to go to one of those programs. I thought jumping into that high blue blood thing for him was risky because I thought there was a chance they would recruit over him, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
I'm told that if he goes to Ole Miss, you're talking 30 to 32 minutes a night, that he's the 4. He would play alongside Luis Rodriguez and a big. They want to go get a big. They're not done on Hadim C. Hadim could come back. Hadim has to enter the portal to come back and not count against the number. So there's some theatrics potentially here. And it's possible that Hadim gets in the portal and sees another opportunity and jumps at it. I mean, look, he's a talented big. We'll talk about him in a moment, but I mean, there's a huge role for Brakefield. And I think Michigan, in some ways, Michigan is a team that's a 1 seed. They're in the Sweet 16. They appear to be on a crash course. They got Florida State and potentially
that's no gimme.
No, and then Alabama, but they've got their hands full in the next 2 rounds. But they're capable of winning those games. Michigan's probably one of the handful of teams that's truly capable of winning this tournament. And they're recruiting at a really high level. Juwan Howard's doing a great job. And I think Brakefield runs the risk of getting over-recruited at Michigan. So I don't know what he does. But I don't think it's a done deal that Jamin Brakefield goes to Ole Miss. I think it's probable. But the people that talk about this like it is just done, I'm telling you, Zach, they're wrong.
Well, I'll say this, Neal. What is a done deal is Lamar Yard, soon to be open indoor-outdoor restaurant, bar, and entertainment space on South Lamar in Oxford, Mississippi. 10,000 square feet, 3/4 of an acre, full stage, indoor-outdoor projectors, 3 bars. You're going to have a children's playground and parking on site for you to come and enjoy some Texas barbecue and more. It's going to be the quintessential family and pet-friendly venue, and they look forward to hosting you soon. So check them out at lamaryard.com for more information. They are working diligently to get open soon. Also brought to you by Kelly English Restaurant Group. Renowned chef and his team now offer nationwide shipping. See more about that at irisetc.com. They've got that. They've got wild game cooking programs, and then Cooking with Kelly. You can do a virtual cooking lesson with the chef himself. See more about that at table22.com/iris or chefkellyenglish.com. Podcast also brought to you by Protection Unlimited, the Mid-South's leader in commercial and residential alarm security. Wayne Lowry and his team have been serving the greater Memphis area and North Mississippi for 40-plus years, and they'd love to protect your family and or business today. Call them at 901-754-6510 or email them at info@protectionunlimited.com. Yeah, look, if Brakefield is coming to Oxford, you said, upwards of 30 minutes a game. I mean, if he's in Oxford, he's starting, by God. I mean, that's highest rated signee ever, I believe. He's going to be expected to contribute. This isn't going to be a role player off the bench, 6-man type thing. No, he's going to be counted on. And look, I mean, there are a lot of basketball, national recruiting analysts and folks that, know way more about college basketball and scouting than I do. And they still think he can do it. I don't think there's any question there. It just, like you said, got over-recruited at Duke, and it happens. And, he's going to be hungry to do something. He's going to have 5 years play for. So he can certainly do it.
We have a question in the thread that I'll touch real quick. Oklahoma Rebel says, do you think Kermit getting to play in Canada before the season 2 years ago versus the COVID shutdown this year is the difference in preparedness and cohesiveness that would have put Ole Miss in the NCAAs? Probably.
The early shutdown hurt them.
Here's the thing, and they had an argument being made at the time when they got really hot in the second half of the season that, hey, look, COVID shut us down right before the season started. 2.5 weeks, really couldn't practice as a team at a time when you would have been practicing a lot as a team. You would have been playing some games. You would have been learning from those games, kind of had to cram games in, blah, blah, blah. And I think that argument had some legs. And then you went to Vanderbilt and lost without Deso and Pippen. Dessou and Pippen. And when that happened, yeah. I mean, that – and then you lost to Mississippi State at home. They weren't a good team. And so when that happened, that was kind of a killer. All right, the other name that's definitely out there is Myron Jones, Penn State guard, 15.3 a game last year for Penn State. He's from Birmingham. I talked to people yesterday who think it's a two-team race. It's Ole Miss and Arkansas for him. Arkansas has kind of made a real run for him. He's expected to announce something at some point this weekend. I'll tell you this. Here's a 6'3" guy who can play the point. He can play the two. He can defend. He can shoot. He makes so much sense for this team. He's kind of what this team was missing. He's a big enough guard to combine with Ruffin. The concern with Ruffin is it's not a big deal. It's look, he's 5'8", 5'9". So if you play him with Schuler at the same time, not Schuler, Joyner at the same time, you're going really small in the backcourt. That could come back to haunt you in SEC games when you're playing teams with 6'3", 6'4", 6'5" wings. Especially
if you don't score.
Yeah, if you have a guy like Jones out there, you can get away with some of that. You can get away with one small defender. It's hard to get away with two or three. And so if you had a lineup that, in this situation where let's say you had Buffin and you had Jones and you had Brakefield and you had Luis Rodriguez and you had a big, you could get away with that. It might hurt you a little bit here and there, but you could get away with it. I think Jones is important. I know Ole Miss really wants him. I think Arkansas really wants him. I think Arkansas was a little late to it, but they're in it. They've certainly had Musselman's had a ton of success with guards. Moses Moody's going pro. He's going to the NBA draft. He'll be a top 10 pick. That spot's open. Makes a lot of sense for Jones there too. So he's got a big decision to make. He's a guy that Ole Miss would just love to get.
Yeah, and look, I mean, I think at this point, Ole Miss has to get this type of player. You mentioned kind of the compliment to Ruffin and to Joyner and how it would be nice to have a guy out there that's 6'3", 180 pounds, been there, done that in the Big Ten, averaged 14 points over the last 2 years for the Nittany Lions, shoots it well, close to 40% from the field, can rebound, shoots it, good enough from the stripe. So it's something that you said it makes a ton of sense, and it'd be the perfect complement to add him because it gives you that flexibility of, hey, we're only going to have one small guy out there because essentially you could play him out there with Joyner or Ruffin and just kind of interchange with that smaller guy out there that, could potentially be a liability on defense when you've got bigger wings out there. But yeah, I mean, like you said, it makes a lot of sense. Ole Miss recruited him when he was coming out of high school at a Lincoln Academy in Atlanta. They recruit Georgia and Atlanta very well. Really good high school program. Was committed to Memphis at one point, ended up going to Penn State. It would be something that would, like you said, make a ton of sense. And it would to say that he would be welcomed, a welcome addition is an understatement.
I talked about this a little bit ago. I would not close the door completely on Hadim C. He could come back. He left very amicably. He had a tough year with COVID. He had a concussion issue that just kind of haunted him a little bit. because of when it came. And then by the time he got back, he got COVID and he had to shut down for 2 more weeks. And then when he got back from that, there were some things in his personal life. These are not robots. And, it just kind of ended up being a lost year for him. But he likes Ole Miss. Ole Miss likes him. That would not surprise me. And frankly, he makes a lot of sense on this team if it gets a big who can help on the defensive end and who can protect at the rim on the defensive side, who can rebound. Got to have that. And everybody's looking for that. And there's some guys in the portal. I don't say this to be cryptic. I just, when people tell me a name off the record, I don't repeat the name on the record. There is a player that, to my knowledge, is not yet in the portal who could get into the portal as early as today or tomorrow. And if he does, the sense is that it's probably Ole Miss. But as of this moment, to the best of my knowledge, that player's not in the portal. But I know they've got options there, and a couple in particular. They're aware of their issue. They've got to have somebody protect at the rim. They've got to have somebody who can rebound defensively and those things. Yeah.
Talking about what Ole Miss has to have, another thing that you have to have, finance professionals handling your financial planning. You can get that at Bluff City Advisory Group, Memphis's leading team when it comes to pension and qualified plan support and business and estate planning strategies. Former Ole Miss Rebel and founding partner Ben Steele, along with his customer service team, can handle that for you. Learn more about them at bluffcityadvisory.com. Podcast also brought to you by the Barry Home Team. When you are ready to get top dollar for your home and find your next one in the Mid-South area, call the Barry Home Team. Whether that's downsizing, upsizing, or purchasing an investment property, Stacy and Rick Barry can help you navigate every step of the way. 901-481-6420 or thebarryhometeam.com. And after you do that, go ahead and give Saddle Creek Title a call, the Mid-South's leader in client-focused, innovative closing strategies. Neal Hanna and his team are more than happy to help you, and they're dedicated to go the distance to ensure the ease and growth of your real estate business. Give them a call, 901-753-1600.
Also brought to you by Daniel Barfield Wealth Management here in Oxford in the North Mississippi area. Daniel and his staff offer comprehensive financial planning, including investment management, estate and tax planning, insurance planning, and business retirement plans. It's 662-236-6454. Visit his website, barfieldwealthmanagement.com. Brought to you by Bill E's Small Batch Bacon. My old friend William Stitt has mastered the art of bacon. He spent more than 3 decades in the restaurant and hospitality business. Bacon is his passion. He uses bacon selected from the finest hogs, hand-turned every 2 hours in small batches, rubbed with nitrate-free pink curing salt, brown sugar molasses. It is absolutely fantastic. You've got to try it. Go to billesbacon.com. That's BILLES bacon.com. Order 5 pounds or more. Trust me, you will love it. And you'll also get a free Billy's Bacon hat with promo code Rebel Grove at checkout. Also brought to you by Alpha Specialties, located at 1670 Highway 80 in Pearl, Mississippi. They're your trailer-specific professionals. Give them a call at 601-932-9798 or check them out at alphaofms.com. And we're brought to you by Jennings Executive Search. Jennings Executive Search specializes in the recruitment of accounting, finance, strategy, corporate development, and data science professionals from the staff to C-level in all industries. So whether you're a small business owner who needs a finance leader, work in private equity, or run a team at a Fortune 500 company, John and his recruitment team of former public accountants will simplify the process by presenting you with a short list of only the most qualified candidates. To learn more, check out John Jennings, that's Jon Jennings on LinkedIn. Email johnjenningsexec.com or call 404-536-3000. Cross Caldwell wants to know anything at all football-wise going on, or still a waiting game for visits?
It's mostly a waiting game. I've got a post that'll be up soon. Talked with Rocco Becht of Florida, the 2022 prospect from down there. He talked a lot about Ole Miss, talked a lot about Iowa State, but again, the consensus is, got some time to make a decision and no rush, and wants to take visits. So did put up Sam Spiegelman talked with Jacarius Clayton out of Tupelo. Been committed to Mississippi State for a long time, but as you can see in the interview, he is extremely open to the two that I have I've briefly spoken with Jacarius, and I'm talking with him tomorrow more extensively. But he said Oregon and Ole Miss are the two that have not stopped recruiting him since he committed, and he wants to take officials to both of those places. So that's a name to know. Big defensive end out of Tupelo. Mississippi State wants him to play offense. I think he can be a tight end, maybe grow into an offensive tackle. But Ole Miss and Oregon like him as a defensive end. So that's pretty much it for right now. I mean, a lot of it's, again, like you said, just a lot of wait and see. I think visits are going to open up soon.
Well, I think they're for sure going to open up June 1. I think we're going to have a typical summer. I think the schools are pushing for it now to the point that I think they're going to get what they want. What's interesting is this weekend practice is open, weather permitting. I am curious to see what Ole Miss does if the weather's terrible. Because if you take it inside the Manning Center, you can't close it to the public and let the kids in. Nope. I mean, you should, but you can't. And so I'm guessing that if the weather is even remotely doable, they go outside so the kids can be there.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It's Ole Miss is 2 practices into a 15 practice spring. They practiced on Tuesday. They practiced again today. Pro day was today. So,
how'd they look? Are bigger, faster, stronger?
Everyone is reportedly bigger and faster and stronger with great attitudes, great spirit. And
Matt Corral still look good?
Interestingly, Matt doesn't. He's trying to throw left-handed this year, and it's really strange. He wants to be amphibious. And so,
opening the door for Kincaid Dent and whoever else wants to get a crack at some first-team reps.
A lot of talk about Seller Shy in practice. So.
About his dad and what he's doing for the PGA Tour? Or?
Well, that too, yeah. So there's just a lot. Okay. There's a lot going on, man. It's spring. It's the most impactful time of the year from a football practice standpoint.
Hey, as impactful, maybe more impactful. Transamerica Insurance, they're changing the way that you're looking at life insurance. Drew Moak and his team, licensed in Mississippi, Tennessee, and Texas, among others, they can get you started today. They offer 10, 20, and 30-year term life insurance catered to your individual needs. You can ask him about living benefits options, and you can get a free quote. So call him at 601-953-8449. Also, Davis McCord State Farm. If you want good neighbor service and surprisingly great insurance rates, nobody else. Davis McCord and State Farm. One-stop shop in Tennessee and Mississippi. Call him 901-755-6110. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Also brought to you by Muddy Water Camo. MuddyWaterOutdoors.com is where you go to get all of their great gear. You'll love it. Hats, camo stuff for the warm weather, I should say. They've got the heated tri-zone heated jackets and vest as well. So, again, go to MuddyWaterOutdoors.com and check them out. And if you are a decision maker or influencer for a middle market sized business or large corporation, if you're a business owner, CFO, controller, HR professional, or you assist your company with making financial decisions, then you may be aware that property and casualty insurance went up dramatically in 2020. They're continuing to rise in 2021. Hunter Maynard of USI Insurance is a risk management professional who specializes in negotiating between your company and the insurance carrier by working closely with business executives to ensure they have the most effective, cost-efficient property and casualty insurance program possible. He's an Ole Miss alum, has clients throughout Tennessee, Mississippi, Arkansas, and Alabama. You can reach him at 901-233-4614 or by email at hunter.maynard, that's M-A-Y-N-A-R-D, at USI.com. And we're brought to you by Joey Herrickson, Heron Gear Chevrolet. Let him find you the vehicle you're looking for at a price you can afford. Choose from a full selection of new Chevy vehicles or get a great deal on numerous brands of reliable pre-owned vehicles as well. 662-571-2367 or 1685 High Street in Jackson. Stop by, test drive a newer used vehicle you've been wanting. Let him earn your business. And make sure that you tell him you heard about this ad on the Oxford Exxon podcast or the Soft Verbal podcast. You get a free $50 gas card. Anything else before we start to wrap up? You got a big update on, we've made it through, let's see, how many minutes into a show are we? 37 minutes into a show without mentioning Arch Manning. That's got to be a soft verbal record here lately.
It is. No new updates there. They keep it pretty close to the vest down there. So good on them. I did see. I have somewhat of a Manning update. Yesterday was Peyton's birthday.
Oh,
so there you go. And then Eli and Archie are doing something with some barbecue company. Did you see that?
I saw that, and that might be a sign that he's going to South Carolina.
I was going to say Mississippi's not known.
Or Kansas.
Yeah, all due respect to the shack down in or the shed down in Ocean Springs. Not a lot of Mississippi barbecue on the Food Network, but
he could shock the world. Speaking of Peyton, and go to Peytonville. Imagine that if he was the first big prospect to go to Peytonville University. You not seen?
That's a real place.
Have you not seen the ads? The progressive.
Okay.
The ads.
All right.
They got snubbed from the NCAA tournament, and he has the.
I can't believe my dad joke meter didn't go off there.
I'm really disappointed.
No big updates. I will say
he's got Kenny Chesney up there looking at him funny. It's a terrible ad, but it's Peyton being Peyton, and he's talking about Peytonville, and he's got stuff. And I mean, Arch could go to Peytonville and put him on the map.
He could do that like as a joke. That would be funny.
It would actually be a really funny joke if he committed to
just do it and then just walk out.
Or if he did a hat ceremony and he put a Peytonville University hat on the thing.
Yeah.
That would
he could realistically like put a hat on, declare committing to Peytonville, and then the papers that he signs could just be wherever he's going. That's actually genius.
That would be great.
And then whoever got him just finds out, and then you announce it. So, I guess the only thing left I got, before we head out, I think you've heard the same. I think there's going to be some semblance of movement with the portal this weekend. I don't know if it's imminent, but I think they're expecting something.
Football
this weekend? No, basketball.
Oh yeah. Well, they better. Yeah.
If they don't, it might be bad.
Listen, if they don't have any success in the portal, it's trouble. I'm just going to let you know. I mean, that is not doable because the only other high school player they're in on is Brandon Huntley Hatfield, and listen. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, we'll come on the show and I'll sing the "I'm Wrong" song. But I think he's going to Tennessee.
I was going to say it's not Muddy Water Camo doing it, but they have muddied the waters there. So Tennessee is very much in it.
It's remarkable to me that you can do a Muddy Water Camo joke, but you don't get Peytonville University. I know. Just was not your best moment. All right, we'll wrap it there. We'll come back next week. We might do a kind of a mailbag sort of thing. Let you guys tell us what you want to hear about. We'll update you on what's going on with basketball recruiting because, like Zach, I do expect the next 48 to 72 hours to potentially be pretty big. I think some decisions get made here pretty quickly because, well, frankly, the calendar's turning. Be April before you know it, and this stuff's got to get done. So watching tornado. Where's Quitman, Mississippi? That's down south, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, this is down another run of tornadoes and severe thunderstorms going through Quitman, Mississippi, up into Demopolis, Alabama, not far from Meridian. Isn't it funny, man? Not funny, it's the wrong word. That I-20 corridor is just attracts them.
I was going to say it's called Tornado Alley for a reason, and they just can't ever catch a break.
Yeah, crazy. So hopefully everybody down there is okay, and we'll be back with you next week with another edition of the Soft Verbal Podcast presented by the College Corner. Until then, for Zach, I'm Neal. Take care.